Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, a place where I interview tech leaders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, futurists, technologists, thought leaders, and even the occasional celebrity about how they are leveraging technology to transform their business. As a business leader or even a consumer, if you switch on your TV or scroll down your news feeds, you will see how companies have pledged to meet sustainability targets. But many of them lack the knowledge or the tools to properly measure progress and how to optimise their carbon and energy footprints. So when I learned that Honeywell is working to help solve this problem with its new carbon energy management software, I felt compelled to find out more, and especially around how it is enabling building owners to track and optimise energy performance against those carbon reduction goals, and go right down to device or asset level. So today I've invited my old friend Manish Sharma from Honeywell back onto the podcast to explore this topic in more detail and demystify it and learn how we can measure and improve on those sustainability goals. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to the US, where Manish is waiting to join us once again on Tech Talks Daily. So a massive warm welcome back to the show. Over a year's passed since we last spoke, but can you remind the listeners with a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thank you for having me here. I am Manish Sharma, and my role is VP GM of Sustainable Building Technologies as part of Honeywell Buildings Group. I picked up this job around 5 months ago. We have formed a new business unit called Sustainable Building Technologies. And the whole intention and goal of this business unit is to work with our customers and understand their sustainability goal and help them to achieve their goal, what they are signing up for in a medium term, short term, or long term.
And there's so many things I'm looking forward to talking with you about today. But I think to set the scene for today's conversation, you've got this new role. So can you tell me more about how thousands of companies have actually volunteered or pledged to meet sustainability targets and ESG scores, but how many of them are actually lacking the knowledge and tools to adequately measure their progress and how to optimize their carbon and energy footprints? Because you can only improve what you can measure, right?
Absolutely. You hit the exactly right point. As we have been speaking to our customers, what we have observed is every day, every week, we are seeing new pledge has been taken by the organization. Probably that's the right thing to do, and that's the right direction which they want to go to achieve their carbon neutrality goal in a medium and the long term. But the challenge what we are hearing from each of the customers or many of the customers are, they don't have right measurement systems in place. People don't know what is your current baseline, where do you stand today? Because this is not an easy problem to figure it out, that where do you stand today. It's not a simple math equation which you can put and you get the answer. It's a little complicated thing to do. So that's the first part, which we are seeing around 70-80% of our customers have challenged to understand how do we do the current baseline, where do we stand, and how do we achieve the carbon neutrality goal over a period of time which they have taken the pledge. So that's the first problem which we are hearing. Second problem is, now if you have a baseline, what I should be doing to achieve my carbon neutrality goal, which is becoming a pretty large problem, because if you look at every investor report, what we have been seeing coming from the CEOs, ESG is become an integral part of the investor report now. ESG is not anymore a buzzword. You talk about it. It's your investors really want to know about what are you doing for environmental and the social and the governance side. And sustainability and the carbon neutrality is a very integral part of the ESG outcome which you want to deliver. So there is a good amount of traction in the market. There is a good visibility and awareness about this. But at the same time, the challenge is to understand how you can measure, how you can achieve the goal over a period of time, and how you define the intermediate path to make sure that at the end of 10 or 15 years, you are in the path to achieve the carbon neutrality.
And I think companies are facing increasing pressure today, right across the board, from stakeholders as well as regulatory agencies. And obviously the pressure is to curb their energy consumption, reduce carbon emissions, and create more sustainable, healthier facilities. And on the flip side, we've also got socially conscious consumers who are choosing who they will and won't do business with, depending on how seriously they're taking this. So I'm curious, from the conversations you're having, are there any common themes around the help that they're seeking, and how are you helping them with Honeywell?
Yeah, what we have observed in the marketplace is, you're right, there is a heavy pressure on really on the ESG side, as you're rightly pointing out. What we are doing is we are working along with our customers to really deliver the first part is to define the baseline. We have developed a solution which is called Honeywell Building Sustainability Manager, where we have one of the software is carbon and energy management software. And that software helps you to start doing the baselining, start doing the current, where do we stand today on the carbon measurement side. And if you look at the data side, around 37% of carbon are generated out of buildings, which is pretty substantial number in for each of the corporate organization to manage, control, and reduce. So that's the first part which our software does. But as we go forward, this is not only to measure, because that's a one-time exercise, and you start kind of measuring it at the enterprise level, and then you can drill into the each location level, building level, and zone or floor level of the building. But then you need to have a pretty strong outcome which you want to deliver to reduce the energy consumption in the building. And it has to be sustainable outcome which you want to deliver. You don't want to do one time and then it kind of stays flat. So you have to have a plan. Gradually, you do that reduction in energy consumption. Gradually, you reduce the carbon generation inside the building. And that plan for the short term, medium, and long term is extremely important for them to achieve these goals.
And I'm curious, what would you say the estimated timeline is for things like dark warehouses? And by that, I mean those operating autonomously, virtually without human intervention. And is there anything you can share around that?
Yeah, well, what I can share is the methodology, not the specific. So if you look at the carbon generation, there are two larger elements in the buildings. The one is your different equipment inside the building, which is, as you said, it could be some machines or robots or cooling and heating, lighting, elevators. All of those count as a carbon generation in the building because those are the heavy energy intense equipments. What we would like to do is we have a building level solution because Honeywell is a controls company and we understand building levels, each of the equipment, how they operate and how we can be efficiently operating those equipment. Not only each equipment level, we can go one level above and see the interaction of those equipment, how you can optimize. Because when an occupant enters in the building, you use elevator, you use light, you use cooling, and you change the set point. All of those interaction which occupant does. So how those interaction can be much more efficient, effective for you to have a much energy efficient building. So that's the first part. How do you optimize these multiple equipment, interaction of them and everything? Second one is, I think it is important, which is a good learning we had. You have a different power sources in the building. You get the power from grid, and grid also have a multiple ways to generate the power. You can have nuclear power, you can have a coal power, you can have natural gas power, all of that. It is very important for building owner and chief sustainability officer of a building to understand what different power sources you are using in a building, because that has a direct implication on your carbon generation. So it's a combination of A and B, what you need to do to make sure that you are going in the path forward to reduce the carbon generation in the building. Not just about energy efficient building, absolutely that's a critical and important element, but at the same time utilizing the right power sources for you to have a better outcome.
And can you tell me more about the tech behind the software that you're using here, such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc.? Because there's so much going on, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think as you probably remember when we spoke last time,
Yeah.
we have talked about healthy buildings, and indoor air quality was a huge concern that time. And what we have observed is still the level of requirement and the demand for indoor air quality has not gone down. We still believe that indoor air quality, based on our interaction with customers, they are still concerned about it. They still would like to make sure we have the right level of quality of air in the building for our workers, occupant, travelers, students, teachers to be to feel much more healthier environment. So that's the one part. And the second part comes is your sustainability and energy efficiency to maintain. So what we have launched, this one of the software where artificial intelligence and machine learning based, is to how do you manage these 2 or 3 competing needs? You have comfort need, you have indoor air quality need, you have a higher energy efficiency need, and all 3 together, we call that as a more of a sustainability, is a very, very important, and you cannot do that manually. It is impossible for you to turning on and off the different outdoor air and energy efficiency mode and everything. It has to have the self-learning module, and the self-learning module brings you to 3 different competing needs, what you're looking for to give you the best outcome. The second part of we are using machine learning algorithm for predicting your carbon generation and energy consumption. We believe that it's very important and critical for us to understand how you are generating the carbon, so you can have some prediction model. Once you have enough data sets, you can have prediction model to see where you will be after some period of time, so you can take some corrective action and work on to reduce the carbon. So there are many use cases I can talk about with machine learning is playing a role. And without having this machine learning software, I think it will be very challenging to achieve sustainability goal for a building.
And as I said at the very beginning, it's such a huge topic right now, and so many businesses around the world are chasing those figures and implementing those improvements. So if we look at the Honeywell solution here, how does it work? And can you possibly walk me through a use case just for any business leader that might be listening?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for a business leader or for a building owner, the few points to remember, which if you want to achieve the sustainability goal for your building. First, as I said, you got to have a right level of solution and right level of tools and methodology to define the current baseline. That's extremely important. Once you define the baseline, we call something called abatement curve. What abatement curve does is it gives you the outcome or the ROI, what you will receive based on the investment, what you would like to make in a building for achieving multiple outcome, which could be energy efficiency or power management and carbon reduction. So what we do is we sit along with the customers and draw the abatement curve. Some of the investment have a very high ROI. You can achieve it like within a year or so. One of the example could be switching your lights into LED light, and that gives you very fast return, very quick return for a building. And it's a low-hanging fruit. You can do it faster. But some of the returns are little medium to long term, which you need to have a little holistic view if you want to invest. One few example could be if you want to go for renewable, because without having renewable, it's very hard for you to achieve the carbon neutrality goal. So if you want to invest on renewable energy sources in your building or at your enterprise level, you really need to go through that analysis of that, what is ROI and what's the gain you are going to get out of those renewables for a building. If you want to install a solar panel or get the windmills power to your building, what's the investment you are making? What's the return of you're getting in terms of the green energy you can generate through that power source? At the same time, you need to keep the carbon tax policies which government is launching in mind, because you get probably additional rebate or reduce the carbon tax, which you probably would have paid if you don't have these renewable systems or renewable technologies in place. So it's more of a, I would say, the abatement curve, sitting across the table and having few conversation to define a path to achieve the carbon neutrality, where you go with this abatement curve of multiple ways, like I say, energy efficiency mode, renewable, different power sources, battery storage technologies, because you want to store this power during the off-peak hour and use it in the peak hours to reduce the when the demand is more. So absolutely, I think it's a little complex process, but it is absolutely important for you to have the broader end-to-end visibility of the capex and opex investment which you would like to make over a period of time to achieve the carbon neutrality.
And I suspect we'll have a number of business leaders and decision makers listening to our conversation today. They could be heading into the office right now and thinking, this is exactly what we need to be doing. And they'll mention it to their IT director, who will then bombard them with a series of tech questions. So can you tell me a little bit more about how to implement a solution like this and any responsibilities around that?
Yeah. For implementing this solution is, first of all, you will need to assess the building. What we do is we would like you to perform the complete end-to-end audit, and that audit gives you a pretty deeper insight in the building, because based on our interaction with the customers and meeting with a lot of people, every building, I would say 90% of the building in the world, where you go and talk to them, you will have definitely more than 2 different systems installed. It could be your building management and control systems coming from some 2 different vendors. So you will have supplier 1, supplier 2. It could be Honeywell, it could be some other one. So you have a different systems installed. You have a HVAC system in the building, which is probably pneumatic system, which is the older one, and then you have 1990s and 2000, which is the electrical one, but it's still the old equipments. And then you go forward, you have a latest and greatest system in 2020, which you installed. So you will find different types of equipment, different types of different suppliers who have done the building management. You will find the different HVAC system which is being installed, which is the highest energy consumption in the building. So we do the assessment, we provide that what is current state, and the advantage what you have is the software what we have developed can connect with a different level of subsystem. It doesn't have to be having one specific supplier's system. It can connect with a many different subsystem. So you do the audit, you come out with that, what are the current state, what are the gaps, and how do you really build the solution in terms of you need to have definitely control system in place, because this is all very important for you to reduce the energy efficiency by having the right controls technology and AI/ML technology, which helps you to more optimize the energy consumption. Second one is you definitely need to think through that the investment part for and interaction with your grid. So that's the second step which we take, that how we can connect with your grid where you're getting the power and have a connectivity with them and say, hey, we would like to have a better renewable sources, whether it can come from grid or whether we can install ourselves. How do we really have that conversation to installing those system and connectivity with grid? Probably, we can something called demand response, where we can help grid also to reduce the load where probably is not being reduced now. And because we will have renewables on site and we will have storage on site, so grid can be happy about utilizing the power which you would give back to them. The reality is, in the near world, you will have a much more electrification happening and grid load is going to increase. So they would definitely welcome this idea of how you can give the power back. Think about the electrical vehicle which are coming in the market. It is growing like 20-30% CAGR. How you can really, how can you manage that much of growth? You don't have that enough power. Grid cannot be ready to charge all those electric vehicles on a daily basis and still continue to operate at the same level of demand what each building has. So definitely there is a thought process of power storage, power generation, local or a little bit broader at the grid level. So that's another area which need to be considered business leader to have a interaction with them. And then another one is the funding. So I think there are a lot of funds available in the market from the government side, as well as there are some financing companies which are coming out with a pretty good model in which as we show the energy saving, it could be a self-funding model. You don't have to really invest anything. As you start saving the energy, saving the dollars, that could become a self-funding model where these financing company comes and play the role of working with like company like Honeywell or somebody, and then the customers and the financing company, these tri-party agreement and help. So these are the few tips for implementation. Happy to have a conversation if somebody would like to have with us to walk through that, the whole process, how it works in achieving the sustainability goal in a building.
And I suspect for a lot of business leaders listening, they'll just be embarking on this journey and finding their feet a little bit and trying to, improve sustainability and reach those targets. But for the people that, I'm curious, I know it's very early days, but has anybody come out the other side yet? I mean, do you have any examples you can share of how a company has used this technology to continuously do everything we've talked about here, investigate, analyse and optimise building performance down to asset-specific level, etc., including reducing carbon emissions, and almost share a before and after picture of what it could look like?
Yeah, so there are few customers whom we are working with and where we have deployed the solution.
Yeah,
we have our own building. We have selected as our 4 of our building across the globe, Honeywell building, where we are deploying the solution, because what we believe is, we would like to taste our own wine. I mean, this is the better way to say that. We would like to see that how the solutions are deployed, how the solutions are working, and how the solution can help to achieve the sustainability goal. Honeywell as an organization, we have a very stringent sustainability goal, what we have defined. We would like to go carbon neutral by 2035 for scope 1 and scope 2. And we are pretty much in a path to achieve that. And to achieve that, we definitely need some of these software and solutions to deploy in our own buildings. So it's a very interesting and right timing, in the world where everybody is aware about sustainability and deploying these solutions for our own building, showing that how it is working, what we are looking at month over month, the carbon reduction, month over month energy efficiency improvement. So pretty exciting, yeah.
It really is exciting when you think about the technology could have a real impact on the place where we all live on this tiny little planet. But I'm curious, what is it that excites you about the future of this tech and the kind of results you can achieve with it?
Yeah, I think no better time to work on these kind of technology. This is absolutely the best time and the perfect time to work on this technology. What excites me as a person, I think I'm really feeling very happy and proud that what we are going to create as in this society, creating a much more sustainable and healthier society to help our people, to help our community and help the whole world, the universe, because nothing more than that what you can do in your life, because this technology is more of an enabler, but the technology helping to achieve something really big social cause for you to be a healthier planet is what exactly excites me a lot.
Well, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast. It has been a year since we last spoke. And one of the few things that we've changed on here is I always ask the guests to leave everyone listening with a gift of their personal note of inspiration that they can leave behind and people can check out. So today I'm going to ask you, just to finish our conversation, is there a book that you've recently read or that is important to you that we can add to our Amazon wish list that people listening can check out?
Yeah, sorry, so I think, very right timing you're asking this question. So I have read a book very recently. It is called No Rules Rules. It's the Netflix and their culture of reinvention. I think the big learning what I had of the book is how do you really, kind of really reinvent yourself, continuously reinvent by having a very different culture in the organization, by having a very different way of thinking what traditionally you have not thought through, and disrupting the whole market where people were not willing to accept, people were not willing to kind of think through. People made fun of it in the beginning. But your thought process, your idea, your conviction, your really drive helps you to overcome of those situations, and you became like the world's largest company in that industry. So it was a very interesting learning that for large organizations like Honeywell or any other big company, I think if we don't disrupt ourselves by having re-innovating or innovating again and again, probably you will get into a very mode of comfort mode, and slowly somebody else will disrupt you if you don't disrupt yourself. So that's the one tagline I would say, that if you don't disrupt yourself, there are innovators in the market who will disrupt yourself. That's a big learning I had from that book, and I would definitely recommend people, if they find time, to read that.
That's a powerful moment to end the podcast on, and I'll add that book to our Amazon wish list. And for anyone listening that would love to dig a little bit deeper on everything that we talked about today, maybe explore the solution in a little bit more detail and how it might help them improve their sustainability, what's the best starting point for everything? Because Honeywell is a pretty big website, isn't it? And is it just honeywell.com, is that right?
Yeah, it is Honeywell.com sustainability. You will find a lot of material over there.
Well, as we said at the very beginning, I think that just about every business in every industry out there are all looking towards improving and hitting those sustainability targets, but many of them do lack the knowledge and tools to properly measure progress and optimize that carbon and energy footprints and how to reduce them, etc. So I hope everything we've talked about today has provided a little value and demystified it and made it a little bit easier. But more than anything, just a big thank you as always for simplifying that and making it easier for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate having me here. Thank you.
It's important to remember that commercial buildings currently account for almost a third of global energy consumption and over 37% of global energy-related CO2 emissions. And while 28% of those emissions are related to building operations or the energy used to heat, cool and power the building, many building owners don't have the device or asset level insight into energy consumption or carbon impact. And you can only improve what you measure. So I hope you found the conversation with Manish helpful today, especially around how they're helping to solve this problem with carbon and energy management software. But how are you managing this problem? How are you approaching it? What's working? What isn't working? I'd love to hear from you. So please email me now, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram @Neil C. Hughes. Let's share what everybody's doing and hopefully we can all learn from each other's approach. And we'll keep this conversation going. Other than that, I'll return again tomorrow with another guest, but just a big thank you for joining me today. And until next time, don't be a stranger.